Hey, what's good everybody? It's Thonk. Today I'm bringing you the very basics of jungling in League of Legends. We're talking strict fundamentals here. I'm going to try not to get into too many advanced strategies. This isn't a how-to jungle video. We're not going to cover things like pathing or kiting or when to gank, yada yada yada. This video is basically just going to be definitions and information that you should know before you even lock in Smite, before you even choose your champion, before you even decide to walk into the jungle. What are you looking at? What does the map look like? Where am I going? And what are these things that I'm looking at? Now, disclaimer, this is just Summoner's Rift, and this is just pertaining to jungling. If I talk about some other things that might not be related to jungling, I might not break those down. Something else to note is that this information is all relevant as of patch 8.10, so things could change. The whole point of this is that I'm trying to look at it as if you're new to the game or just new to jungling and you need some more information on how everything works. So for you advanced junglers out there, this might not help you, but the path to improvement means that you always have to practice the fundamentals. And who knows, you might just learn something. Let's start with some common terms that are related to the jungle role. The jungle. The jungle is considered to be the areas of Summoner's Rift that are neither base nor lane. The jungle is split into 4 quadrants by mid lane and the river. Each quadrant has 3 jungle camps including a buff, and these quadrants are titled based on their physical locations: north, south, east, and west. There are 4 jungle camps on the map, commonly referred to as buffs. Whoever last hits these camps gets a buff. There are 2 red bramblebacks and 2 blue sentinels, often referred to as red buff and blue buff respectively. The jungler is a role in League of Legends that takes Smite as a summoner spell and gets most of their golden experience through farming jungle camps on the map. This role is largely responsible for creating pressure on the map by ganking lanes and securing neutral objectives like Baron or Dragon. Smite is a summoner spell taken by the jungler to help them clear their jungle camps and secure Baron and Dragon for their team. Leashing is when laners help the jungler with their first clear by attacking jungle monsters and taking a little bit of damage. Leashing has become more of a staple in League and is necessary for a lot of champions to have a healthy first clear through the jungle. To gank is to enter a lane with the intent of attacking the enemy laner with your allied laners. Counter ganking is to gank a lane in response to the enemy jungler's gank. To invade is to enter the enemy's jungle prior to tier 1 turrets going down on that half of the map. To counter jungle is to invade the enemy jungle and clear 1 or more of their jungle monsters. In this section we'll go over the summoner spell Smite. If you don't take Smite as a summoner spell, you cannot buy the jungle items. And since you can't buy the jungle items, you don't get as much experience from camps, thus making it take a lot longer for you to level up in the jungle. While it is not technically required to take Smite as one of your summoners, there is a significant disadvantage in not doing so. Here's an example of a clear where one jungler takes Smite and thus gets the jungle item, and the other does not have Smite and so they cannot purchase the jungle item. Not taking Smite will set the jungler extremely far behind and thus hampering your team's chances of winning. In some cases, not taking Smite makes it impossible to clear the jungle camps until at least level 3 or 4. You can hold up to 2 Smites at once with a charge time of 90 seconds. Smite's second charge won't start until a minute 30 into the game, which means you'll only have 1 Smite for your first clear. Smite deals true damage to monsters and scales with your level. Casting Smite on a monster will heal you as well. You can only smite minions, large or epic monsters, and pets if you don't have a jungle item. As an exception, you can also smite Zac Bloblets and Shaco Boxes. Smite can also be cast through any crowd control in the game besides suppression. You'll need to at least purchase the starting jungler items if you want to earn the extra experience from farming the jungle camps. Hunter's Machete grants lifesteal for auto-attacking jungle monsters. Hunter's Talisman grants mana based on your missing mana and health regen while battling monsters in the jungle. Hunter's Talisman and Hunter's Machete will then build into the two jungle items that you see here, Skirmisher's Saber, red, and Stalker's Blade, blue. When you upgrade to Skirmisher's Saber or Stalker's Blade, that will change your normal smite into what's known as a combat smite. A combat smite allows you to smite enemy champions as well as smiting the regular jungle monsters and neutral objectives. Skirmisher's Saber provides a combat smite called Challenging Smite. When you have a combat smite, you can use that smite on enemy champions. Challenging Smite, also known as Red Smite, doesn't do damage upon use and won't grant an assist or kill unless procced with an auto attack. Red Smite's true damage burn scales with level and the amount of auto attacks that are delivered. Red Smiting an enemy champion will reduce that champion's damage to you by 20%. Chilling Smite, also known as Blue Smite, deals a smaller amount of true damage to enemy champions and steals a portion of their movement speed. Before you add an enchantment to a jungle item, you can swap between red and blue for a cost of 172 gold. Skirmisher's Saber and Stalker's Blade can be upgraded one more time by adding one of 4 enchantments: Bloodrazor, Warrior, Cinderhulk, or Runic Echoes. The enchantment Bloodrazor gives bonus attack speed and on-hit percent max life damage. This enchantment is normally chosen by champions who want to deliver most of their damage through auto attacks. The Warrior enchantment gives bonus attack damage and bonus cooldown reduction. This enchantment is normally chosen by attack damage spellcasters. The Cinderhulk enchantment gives both flat health and bonus percent max health, as well as a magic damage aura. Cinderhulk's aura is called Immolate and is only activated when in combat. Cinderhulk's Immolate will not finish off large monsters. They will sit at 1 HP until your happy mid laner comes and takes it from you. Cinderhulk is the cheapest of the 4 enchantments. The other 3 cost the exact same amount. The Runic Echoes enchantment gives ability power, mana, and cooldown reduction. Runic Echoes has a similar passive to Luden's Echo. After the item is fully charged, hitting a spell will provide extra damage and 3 additional smaller projectiles that deal damage. Moving and casting spells will charge Runic Echo's passive. When you use the Runic Echo's passive against monsters, the damage will be amplified against them and you will restore additional mana. Runic Echoes is usually chosen by champions who want to cast a lot of spells and use ability power for their damage. Next, we'll talk about the jungle monster camps. Each jungle monster has a patience bar that will reduce to 0 if the monster strays too far from its spawn, switches targets too often, or can't locate a target to attack. When a monster reaches 0 patience, it gains health very quickly and moves back to its spawn. This is also known as a reset. Although its patience bar can't be seen, The dragon also has a patience attribute and will reset if its patience reaches 0. Grump's single target DPS decays over time as it hits slower and slower. The Krug camp is more difficult to clear. Ancient Krug will split into 2 Krugs, Krugs will split into 2 mini Krugs before finally being cleared. This makes the Krug camp more valuable, but also more dangerous to take. Clearing the Raptor camp can be quite painful if you don't have any AoE abilities. Clear the smaller Raptors before clearing the Crimson Raptor, as they deal about the same amount of damage, but have about half as much health as the big guy. Each camp generates 4 creep score. Blue Sentinel, also known as Blue Buff, is easier to take for ability power damage dealers as it has negative magic resistance. Upon clearing the blue buff, a small blue circle will appear around your champion, signifying that you now have the Crest of Insight, also known as Blue Buff. This buff gives mana and energy regeneration as well as 10% CDR. Red Brambleback, also known as Red Buff, is easier to take for attack damage dealers as it has negative armor. Upon clearing the red buff, you'll notice a small red circle surrounding your champion. This means that you've been granted the Crest of Cinders. Crest of Cinders is also known as the red buff and grants you HP regen and causes your auto attacks to slow champions as well as burn them. Don't worry if you accidentally get executed in the jungle, you won't lose your buffs. Of course, the timers will still tick, so you might not have it as long when you get back. All buff timers can be seen by either team on the minimap. The buff timer will look like an hourglass and start out gray when there's a minute left until the buff spawns. Hourglass will then turn yellow once there's only 20 seconds left until the buff spawns.
Their shield.
If you use hard crowd control on the Rift Scuttler, her shield will be broken and she loses resistances, making it much easier to take. At the beginning of the game, 2 Scuttle Crabs will spawn. After both have been cleared, only one will spawn at a time after that. The Rift Scuttler is worth as much gold and experience as a jungle camp, so it's worth trying to claim it if you can. Claiming the Rift Scuttler will grant a shrine in the river in an area in front of the Baron or Dragon Pit. This shrine will grant vision and a move speed bonus to your team as they walk over it. In this section we'll talk about jungle plants. There are 3 types of jungle plants that spawn around the jungle and in the river. A plant's effect is activated by auto-attacking them a single time. The Blast Cone knocks away all nearby champions, allies, and enemies. The Blast Cone has an indicator to show you exactly where you'll land upon activating it. Fun fact, knocking away an ally with the Blast Cone will grant an assist if they kill them. The Scryer's Bloom releases pollen in a cone, revealing any champions, units, and wards in the area. The Scryer's Bloom wave is only revealed if you have vision of the plant or its cone. In this example, both Scryer Blooms are being activated. However, I can only see one because I have a ward in the Dragon Pit. The one by Baron, I can't see it being activated. The honey fruit plant drops 5 fruit on the ground that give health, mana, and slow whomever picks them up. The Rift Scuttler enjoys eating honey fruit and will munch on it until you shoo her away. Jungle plants will spawn on the map inactive and activate for use after 60 seconds. Next, we'll go over the Rift Herald. Rift Herald spawns in the Baron pit prior to Baron spawning. The Rift Herald has 2 dodgeable abilities, Swipe and Charge. Hitting Rift Herald in the eye on its back is the best way of defeating it. Hitting the Rift Herald in the eye will remove a large amount of its health. To open up the eye more often, try auto-attacking more. After the Rift Herald reaches about 2,000 health, the eye on its back will no longer show. Upon killing the Rift Herald, the Eye of Herald will be dropped in order for you to pick it up. Eye of the Herald replaces your trinket slot once you pick it up. While holding the Eye of the Herald, you have an empowered recall to get back to base faster. If your team last hits the Herald, the enemy team cannot pick the Eye up. Also, the eye will disappear after 40 seconds if it is not picked up. Unfortunately, you can't hold on to the eye forever, but the screen will briefly flash purple to alert you that the eye is about to expire. Upon use, Eye of the Herald summons Rift Herald for your team. The Herald uses a charge onto towers and inhibitors, which deals massive damage to towers and also deals damage to the Herald. If you use hard crowd control on the person summoning the Herald, you'll prevent the Herald from spawning. Next up, we'll cover the dragons. The dragon pit is located in between the river and the south quadrant of the jungle. You can stack up to 3 of the same type of elemental dragon in one game. Only 3 of any single type of elemental dragon will spawn throughout the game. For example, you cannot secure 4 fire dragons. Only 3 different types of elemental dragon will spawn throughout the game. So, you cannot secure 1 of each dragon, unfortunately. Taking down an elemental dragon will grant a Dragon Slayer buff to your team. The air dragon has a single target attack and has the highest DPS of all the dragons, making it the hardest to solo. Air dragon also gives your team a bonus movement speed as a Dragon Slayer buff. Mountain Dragon has the highest HP of the elemental dragons and is the easiest to solo due to its low damage per second. Mountain Dragon gives your team bonus damage against neutral objectives like dragons, Baron, Elder Dragon, towers, and inhibitors. Ocean Dragon applies a movement speed slow, making it the easiest to contest if the enemy is going for it. Ocean Dragon gives your team bonus health and mana regeneration when out of combat as its Dragon Slayer buff.
Protect the faithful.
Infernal Dragon, also known as Fire Dragon, is generally considered to be the most valuable dragon, as Infernal Dragon gives your team bonus ability power and attack damage as its Dragon Slayer buff. You can view which dragon will spawn next in the Dragon Pit by looking on the Dragon Pit wall and observing the symbol, or simply by hitting tab. You can also track which dragons you have taken by hitting tab. Elder Dragon is the last of the dragons to spawn as long as the game reaches 35 minutes. Elder Dragon is significantly stronger than the other dragons and grants Mark of the Elder Dragon when defeated as a buff. Mark of the Elder Dragon buffs your Dragon Slayer buffs by 50% and grants an auto attack based burn that scales with how many dragons you've taken throughout the game.
A true master is an eternal student.
After the first Elder Dragon, all other Elder Dragons grant an empowered Mark of the Elder Dragon buff once they're taken down. Empowered Mark of the Elder Dragon doubles all of your Dragon Slayer buffs. The auto attack burn does significantly more damage, and the buff lasts a lot longer as well.
In me, Wuju lives on.
Finally, we'll cover Baron Nashor, the giant purple worm. The Baron Pit is located in between the river and the north quadrant.
The focused mind can pierce through stone.
Baron has 3 abilities that will be used in rotation every 6 auto attacks. Baron takes reduced damage from whoever he recently auto-attacked. Baron also reduces armor and magic resist of whomever he is attacking and anyone nearby, even if they're not attacking him. Securing Baron for your team gives 300 gold and Hand of Baron to each person on your team. Hand of Baron is also referred to as Baron buff. You can only receive Baron buff by being alive when Baron is secured. However, you will still receive the gold. Baron buff grants bonus ability power, attack damage, grants you an empowered recall, and gives your minions a significant power boost while you're next to them. While Baron buff gives all minions increased range, the buff increases the canyon minions range to be so large that it's outside of tower range. This allows the cannon to free hit a tower as long as you're next to it. Here's a fun fact to end on. If you take a look, you'll notice that the south and east quadrants are more lush and vibrant compared to their counterparts in the north and west. It seems that the Baron's destructive nature has taken a toll on these quadrants.